Things First is sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jen Wolf. That is Nick Wright. Chris Canny with us this morning.
Good to see you, brother.
Oh, we're going to wear this all week?
Yeah, you got to wear the
Is that a
weeks
thing?
around the
2
Super
weeks
Bowl.
up until the Super Bowl?
Yeah, just to remind people that you have one.
That you
have
were
to
there,
wear one.
you've been
Exactly.
there, you've
Been there,
done
done that, got the T-shirt, and got the ring.
I understand it. And
I'm surprised you're not wearing your commemorative Derek Jeter Hall of Famer pendant that you were wearing in this morning, man. My man, Chris Canny, I had no idea.
Big Derek
what
Jeter
a big
fan?
Jeter
You
fan
see how
he is.
he's making stuff up. Now, I am a big Derek Jeter fan, although he's not my all-time favorite Yankee.
Oh, okay.
Still a great day for the Yankees yesterday with him going into the Hall nearly unanimously.
Nearly unanimous.
There was that,
Right
that
there.
one guy.
That was me.
You were that one guy?
Me. Yeah, I
just so I'm clear,
overrated.
you don't have an NBA vote, but you do have an MLB vote?
Everyone gets to name it. 430 people get to vote on this thing. I thought Jeter didn't do quite enough.
Well, Jenna, if Nick has a vote, we have to scrutinize how
The process?
how they give out the
process
votes
works.
for the Hall.
My Jeter vote went to J.J. Putz.
We got a really fun show, a jam-packed show today. We will discuss Jeter, but we're going to get right into some Super Bowl chat. Hey, you remember where you were back on October 30th of 2017? Jimmy Garoppolo does. The Patriots traded him that day to the 49ers for a second-round pick. Looking back, some would say the Niners got the best of that deal since they're Super Bowl bound. And with Brady's future so uncertain. But a column in the Boston Globe says it actually worked out well for both teams. Nick, break it down. Should the Patriots regret having dealt Jimmy Garoppolo when they did?
They shouldn't regret when they did it. I do think that if Belichick were being honest, he would regret how he did it. He certainly didn't like the process. So let's just go back a little over 2 years. Belichick is hoping to get Jimmy Garoppolo to sign an under market value deal to extend his window with the team to whatever Brady's sunset with the team is going to be. When they draft him, they don't think Brady's going to have the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history and then in the 2017 season be en route to winning his third MVP. So they thought this might take care of itself. It wasn't going to, and Jimmy Garoppolo turned down a modest extension. So then they were forced with the decision, well, do we franchise tag him? Do we have the backup making more than the starter? What do we do here? And then Brady went around Belichick to Kraft and basically reportedly forced their hand as far as, I'm the guy here, and I need you guys to show me I'm the guy here. And as a reaction to that, and this is what I think they regret, because they couldn't have kept him, and Brady obviously that year went to a Super Bowl, won an MVP. The next year wasn't great, but won a Super Bowl again, and his play didn't really fall off markedly until this year. Belichick did something he never does, which is he wasn't cold, he wasn't calculating. He let, I think, old enemies get the best of him as far as not wanting to trade with Cleveland, who would have given them the 12th pick of the draft. And he wanted to do what was best, reportedly, for Jimmy Garoppolo, sending him to a place with Kyle Shanahan, somebody respected, where he could succeed the most. And because of that, they got 30 cents on the dollar for the asset. They got the 42nd pick, Canty, when they could have had the 12th pick of the draft, which turned into Deshaun Watson, which could have been the most seamless transition plan ever imaginable. So I don't think the Patriots regret it because they've been to the Super Bowl twice since then. They were not going to be able to keep him at the contract he wanted.
They won one of those Super Bowls.
Of course, but I think the manner in which he was traded, I think, was a rare misstep by Bill Belichick, and I think he does regret that.
Well, I don't know how much of a misstep it was if it's an untenable situation and the owner is saying that you have to trade Jimmy Garoppolo because Tom Brady is going to be our quarterback, not just this year, but for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
So Bill Belichick, from that standpoint, didn't have a whole lot of great options. And then I think Jimmy G made the situation worse because he wasn't going to sign a short-term under-market deal. He wanted an opportunity to play. More importantly, he wanted an opportunity to get that financial security that all players in the NFL are looking for, especially guys not drafted in the first round. So I completely get all sides of the deal. But I think the trade worked out for everybody because the Patriots got 2 Super Bowl appearances, an MVP season out of Tom Brady, and a 6th Lombardi in the trophy case. And in the second full season that Jimmy Garoppolo is with the 49ers, they're making an appearance in the Super Bowl. and they have their quarterback under contract for the remaining 3 years after this. So I look at it from the standpoint of both teams have had an opportunity to compete at the highest level, and that's why you got to grade it as an A for both teams making that decision, even though the Patriots don't have a succession plan for Tom Brady.
Here's the only place I'll push back on that. What you're saying the Patriots got out of it, they essentially would have got out of it the same amount if they'd have just cut him. Like they didn't get enough return on their asset, and they are in a position right now where they don't have a succession plan, in part because they didn't get enough back for Jimmy Garoppolo when they could have had that be the succession plan. Like
I understand what you're saying, but taking that 12th overall pick still means that the Patriots have to move Jimmy G in the conference, and I'm sure that Bill Belichick didn't want to face this guy, especially if he believes that Jimmy G has the ability to be able to quarterback a Super Bowl winning team.
And there's also a little revisionist history here, because at the time, Brady was playing well. Remember, we had started the show that year. We kept waiting, and I think Belichick kept waiting. Well, as soon as his play falls off a little, we'll have a better idea of what we'll do with Garoppolo. We'll keep him. And he kept playing well month after month until finally the Patriots felt like their hands were tied. They had to get rid of him because you're right. They didn't want to tag him and have him get paid more than Tom Brady did. So in that sense, he was kind of left without much to do, especially when Robert Kraft steps in.
Right, but maybe I'm not saying this the right way. I am not faulting the Patriots for trading him. It is not revisionist history, though, to say they did in real time when he was traded. We said that is an awful, paltry return for Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's my point. My point is Belichick has always been rational and unemotional. I think he was slightly irrational with this. I think he was angry that the owner was meddling in his business, and because of that, he didn't just do what was the absolute best thing for the Patriots long term. It was, okay, well, if they're going to make me trade this kid who I want to keep, I'm going to make sure he gets a soft landing spot. I'm not as concerned about getting absolute prime value as he otherwise would be. And the part of this, I imagine, Canty and the most diehard Patriot fans know this, that is the hardest to swallow for them, is a lot of people feel like this whole thing circles back to Deflategate, where I know Patriot fans feel like they were unjustly persecuted and prosecuted. If Tom Brady's not suspended those first 4 games of the, 2016 season, and Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't start the first 2 of those games before getting hurt and play really, really well and go 2-0, then I bet he does sign an under-market extension, because it's not under market. He's a guy who's never played, who's backing up Tom Brady, and this whole succession plan is taking care of itself. It's because the league got their eyes on him. They got to see him. He played well. He went 2-0. I think they beat a good Chargers team early in that season, if I remember correctly, and people were like, oh, wow. Oh, this guy could be a franchise quarterback, which drove his price up. You do wonder that if Tom Brady was never suspended because he never gets hurt, if Jimmy Garoppolo would still be this unknown second-round pick on the Patriots who we'd only seen in preseason games, who would be the guy getting ready to take the keys from Tom Brady.
Well, yeah, we've seen guys that have only played in the preseason, command money on the open market. I mean, you spent a lot of time down in Houston. Remember Matt Schaub, when he was with the Atlanta Falcons, only played during the preseason during his first tenure there, and then the Houston Texans ended up opening up the bank and getting them paid. So we've seen guys that don't have an extensive regular season experience still command a lot on the open market, especially at the quarterback position. So that wouldn't be a one-off in terms of Jimmy G if he got to free agency, ended up getting paid the kind of money that he got paid by the 49ers. But I just think this was a situation where Bill Belichick recognized that his hand was forced. He had to make a decision, and the rest of the NFL knew that they were in a tough spot because they weren't going to pay Jimmy G more than they were going to pay Tom Brady. So Jimmy G was eventually going to hit the marketplace, and I think as a result, you didn't get the return on the player that you traded away because everybody knew it was an obvious situation. You were moving on from it.
Look, the Patriots got their quarterback in Tom Brady, at least for the 2 years after that, and obviously look what the 49ers got in Jimmy Garoppolo as they're heading to the Super Bowl this year. We'll discuss more of this coming up. On the other side, are the 49ers the only defense in the NFL that can slow down Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? That's next on FS1, and you can always check